The court. Mr. Kratz, you may call your next witness. Attorney Kratz. Thank you, Judge. The state would call Tom Sturdivant to the stand. The clerk. Please stand. Special Agent Thomas Allen Sturdivant, called as a witness herein, having first been duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. The clerk. Please be seated. Please state your name, spell your last name for the record. The witness. Special Agent Thomas Allen Sturdivant, Sturdivant. Direct examination. By Attorney Kratz. Question. Mr. Sturdivant, how are you employed? Answer. Employed as a special agent with the Wisconsin Department of Justice, Division of Criminal Investigation. Question. In that capacity, did you assist other law enforcement officers in the property known as Avery Salvage sometime between the 5th of November and the 11th of November? Answer. I did. Question. During that relevant time period, did you notice and did you thereafter observe an area which is now being known as the burn area? Answer. I did. Question. On exhibit number 3, which is the scale diagram, and on the photo, which is exhibit number 2, which both have been received into evidence, do you see that area on those exhibits? Answer. I do. Question. Could you describe for the court, please, what, if any, observations you made of that burn area? Answer. I was out looking at various locations that were discovered, pointed out by the search teams. I eventually made my way over to Mr. Avery's property, and behind the detached garage was a mound of dirt, which was new to the landscape, not necessarily recently, but was a pile or mound of dirt, which consisted of probably rock and sand and other materials. Behind his garage, at the end of that mound of dirt, on the south side, was an area that had been scraped out and contained charred matter. Question. By the way, what day was it that you observed or in a closer manner inspected that area? Answer. That was on November 8th. Question. After inspecting that charred matter, did you request the assistance of any members of the Wisconsin State Crime Lab Field Response Unit to further look at the area? Answer. I did. Question. And tell us what happened, please. Answer. Myself and 3 members of the Wisconsin State Laboratory team and another officer from Manitowoc County looked at that debris, and my initial observation was that it appeared to be bone matter, so I had summoned the assistance of the crime lab. As I looked closer, it appeared to me that there was more bone matter within the charred material, so I asked for their assistance, realizing that they had sifting equipment. We decided at that point it would be easier to sift through that matter and pick out any bone matter, to include teeth, that we had identified. Question. The sifting of that particular burn area, did that result in the recovery of what you believe to be human remains, including bone, teeth, and tissue? Answer. Yes. Question. After the discovery of that material, did you, with the assistance of the Field Response Unit of the Wisconsin Crime Lab, package up those materials and send them not only to the crime lab, but also to a forensic anthropologist for further analysis? Answer. Yes, we did. Question. Agent Sturdivant, I understand that the recovery process took at least a couple of days. Is that correct? Answer. It did. We sifted the charred debris on the 8th. The stuff that we had recovered, we packaged up and put into a secured trailer. Then, on Thursday, we sifted through that debris again, locating additional bone fragments and teeth. and Thursday afternoon, there were other members from the Division of Criminal Investigation that also processed the so-called pit, if you will. Question. Just so the court is aware, the recovery of some of the soil and some of the other ash and other materials that remains to be further analyzed in Madison. Is that correct? Answer. That's correct. Attorney Kratz. For this hearing, Judge, that's all the questions I have of Agent Sturdivant. The court. All right. Mr. Loy? Attorney Johnson. Actually, Judge, I'm going to be. The court. Excuse me, Mr. Johnson. Attorney Johnson. Thank you. Cross-examination by Attorney Johnson. Agent Sturdivant, you are a special agent with DCI, is that right? Answer. That is correct. Question. And when you were assigned to go up to this scene? Answer. That was on, and correction. Question. And when were you assigned to go up to this scene? Answer. That was on Thursday, November 8th. I'm sorry, Tuesday, November 8th. Question. What time of day? Answer. I had gone over there probably 8 in the morning. Question. You work out of Madison? Answer. No, I work out of Wausau. Question. And the other agent who is there, Fassbender, does he work with you out of that same office? Answer. Tom Fassbender is out of the Appleton office. I used to work out of Appleton office, but now I'm out of Wausau. Question. So, agents from both Appleton and Wausau were called to the scene? Answer. As well as other agents from other offices throughout the state. Question. You got there then on the 8th. Do you remember what time of day? Answer. I'm thinking it was roughly 8 a.m. Question. Okay. And when you first was there like a trailer set up as the headquarters or crime scene headquarters? Answer. We referred to it as a command post, yes. Question. Okay. Where was that? Answer. That was towards the entrance to the Avery Salvage Yard. Question. Towards the entrance, do you have an exact location where that was? I mean, when you say towards the entrance, what do you mean? Answer. I can point it out on the map if you would prefer. Question. Thank you. The court. There's a pointer right in front of you. Attorney Kratz. The yellow button right in the middle is the laser part of the pointer. Might be upside down. The other way, Tom. Point it the other way. I think it's pointing toward you. Answer. I believe the command post was set up in this area. Question. Is that a DCI command post or Calumet County, or what is that? Answer. I guess I would consider it a joint command post. There were a number of different vehicles there from Manitowoc, Calumet, but DCI does not have a command post vehicle. Question. So, there's a Manitowoc County Sheriff's vehicle? Answer. I believe there were several vehicles there, but I think the primary command post, I believe it was a Calumet County trailer that they had positioned at the entrance. Question. Okay. And at what time of day did you go over to the area you referred to as the burn area? Answer. Well, it was approximately 1:30. The search teams had located a variety of items of interest, if you will, and myself and 2 other agents were assigned to go out and take a look at those things, whether they be earthen piles, disturbed ground, what have you. We went out to assess those things to see if there was anything of evidentiary value. Question. You're talking about now 1:30 you did that? Answer. Yes. Question. What had you been doing between 8 a.m. and 1:30? Answer. Between 8 a.m. and 1:30, my first responsibility was to execute a search warrant at the office. Question. And you did that? Answer. I did that, yes. Question. And who was there doing that with you? Answer. I was there. It was myself, Special Agent Deb Strauss and Special Agent Joe Kapitany arrived at the latter part of the search. Question. How long did that take? Answer. That took, I think I was completed with that sometime around noontime. Question. Okay. And then, at 1:30 is when you were called out to the burn area? Answer. That is correct, approximately 1:30. Question. And when you got there, who was there at that burn area? Answer. Again, I made my way across the salvage yard, and when I arrived, there was a deputy from Manitowoc County by the name of Jason Jost. Question. Okay. Anybody else? Answer. There was another female officer from, I forget what department, but there was another female officer that was monitoring the emptying of the septic system. Question. Okay. Answer. And Special Agent Deb Strauss was also there. Question. So, those three people, anybody else? Attorney Kratz. Objection. Discovery. Answer. There were a lot of people throughout the area. Attorney Kratz. I interposed an objection. This is discovery. The court. Sustained. Attorney Kratz. Thank you. Question by Attorney Johnson. Who is actually doing the sifting or the examination of that burn area? Answer. Well, the sifting was conducted by the three members of the Wisconsin Crime Lab, myself and Deputy Jason Jost. Question. Okay. When you first got there, you indicate that you saw a mound of dirt and you described it as new to the landscape. What do you mean by that? Answer. The first thing I saw was a piece of bone that Jason Jost had pointed out to me that was away from the debris pile. What I mean by the mound of dirt, it is not natural to the landscape. You have got the grass, and it appears as though several yards of dirt had been dumped on top of the existing landscape, that being the grass, and built up behind the garage. There was probably, I estimated it to be 20 feet by 20 feet, or 30 feet by 30 feet, but it was as wide as the garage, the two-car garages. Okay, and you say that this deputy pointed out something to you. Is that right? Answer. That's correct. It was a red flag, and I don't know who actually discovered that piece of material, but there was a red flag there, and Deputy Jost pointed that out to me. Question. And Deputy Jost again, he was from Manitowoc County? Answer. I believe so. Question. And how did he point that out to you? He said, look, can you describe that? Answer. Well, as I made my way over to some of these areas that had been identified or marked, he had pointed out there was a red flag there, and I think he made the same observation I did, that it looked like a piece of bone. Question. And where was that in relation to the mound that you described? Answer. I estimated that to be about 8 feet south of that mound. Question. Okay. Now, there's sort of a lip there where it goes down into the pit of where all the cars are, right? Answer. Well, that pit is a substantial distance away from the back side of the house. Question. Okay. So that was my next question. Where is it in relation to the edge of the pit? Answer. I'm not certain I'm following your question. Question. Well, if you refer to Exhibit 2, which is the area photograph, the burn area is marked on there, correct? Answer. Yes. Question. And then I guess my question is, where was this first red flagged piece of bone? Or answer. Okay. Question. Where was that? I guess on that diagram. Answer. If this is the edge of that mound of dirt, that piece of bone was approximately 8 feet south of that. Question. Okay. Answer. and directly south of that so-called burn pit. Question. Okay. So, and you are not sure who had first discovered that? Answer. I am not. Question. Okay. How is this deputy dressed? Answer. He was dressed in I think a jumpsuit. Question. Okay, what else? Attorney Kratz. Objection. Discovery, Your Honor. The court. Sustained. Attorney Kratz. Thank you. Question by Attorney Johnson. Okay. So then there's the crime lab people are already there at that burn pit or burn area. Is that right? Answer. Well, they eventually arrived after I requested their assistance. Question. Okay. So when you first get there, the crime lab people are not there? Answer. That's correct. Question. Okay. And so after discovering this bone and seeing this mound of dirt or dug up area that you describe as being new to the landscape, then so at that point you call in the crime lab people? Answer. No. What happened is that after discovering that bone, I looked to the north where I observed other bone fragments. And as I sifted through bone fragments in the past, and I have sifted through bone fragments in the past. So I made the observation that it appeared to me that there were additional bone fragments within that debris. And I did call the crime lab. However, they were busy recovering debris from other burn barrels, so they weren't there immediately. Question. When you say you made the observation, was that looking into this burn area from the outside, or did you physically walk through the burn area, or what did you do? Answer. From the 8 feet south of that burn pit, I could clearly see that there was some bone matter located around the debris pile. Then I walked over and took a closer look at the charred debris and realized that there was quite a bit of bone matter within the debris, as well as intertwined within the steel belts of burned tires and so forth. Question. Okay. Can you describe more specifically what you saw when you say bone matter? What exactly does it look like? Answer. Well, in this case, it just looked like different lengths and different sizes of bone fragments. Could I determine at that point what they were, what type of bone? I could not, but I could determine that it was bone matter. Question. And you say you have sifted through this kind of thing before, is that right? Answer. That's correct. Question. And approximately how many times? Answer. Twice. Question. 2 times? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And when were those 2 times? Answer. They were both fire scenes. One was in Winnebago. The other one was up in Brown County. Question. When was that? Attorney Kratz. Objection. Discovery, Judge. The court. The objection is sustained. Question by Attorney Johnson. How wide of an area were these fragments spread over? Answer. I would estimate that the size of that burn pit was probably 6 feet by 6 feet roughly. Again, that's an estimate. Question. And they were throughout that 6 by 6 feet area? Answer. They were concentrated in the middle. In the middle was a pile of charred debris. So the debris was probably more centered in that 6 by 6 foot area that had been dug out from the earth and berm. Question. How were you dressed? Answer. I was dressed, I believe I had a jumpsuit on as well. Question. Does that cover your feet? Answer. I'm sorry? Question. Does that cover your feet? Answer. No. Question. Okay. What's your understanding or what's your knowledge of if that area had been searched before? I mean, are you aware of any search or any other times people had looked in that area? Answer. I was not aware of what had been accomplished prior to my arrival. Question. What was the weather like that day? Answer. It was a beautiful day. It was clear, it was sunny, might have been a little cool, but it was a beautiful day. Question. Any idea of the temperature? Answer. I don't, but I know that it was getting cold as the sun was going down. Question. It's your impression that this area, this burn area, I guess, for lack of a better word, you describe that as new to the landscape. You don't know when that was done? Answer. That's correct. Question. Did it seem freshly dug, like within the last day or so? Answer. I couldn't tell you. Question. When you use the term new to the landscape, what do you have in mind when you use that term? Answer. It was added to the existing landscape. Again, you have got a lawn, and at some point somebody had to dump gravel or aggregate, if you will, up behind the garage. Looks as though it was spread out, but it was raised up about 2 feet from the natural landscape or the yard, if you will. Question. Now, is there like black sort of charred material all over that? Like you would see it like where more a campfire was or something like that? Answer. Throughout the mound of dirt? Question. Right. Answer. No. Question. Where was that? What part of the burn area was filled with sort of... Answer. May I point it to it? Question. Sure. Answer. Right there is, that is here where the burn matter was. And again, if I can make this a bit clearer, you have a mound of dirt that has been added to the landscape. At the south end of that, it looks like somebody came in with a 6-foot shovel, 6 foot wide, 6 foot deep, and lifted out or removed that dirt. So you had kind of a concave area at the edge of that mound, and that's where the debris pile was located. Question. Okay, so it looked like someone had sort of made a clearing there by adding dirt to this lawn area. Is that a fair statement? Answer, yes. Question. And then in the southern part of that, they had scooped out an area where there was fires, or there was burn material there. Answer. That's correct, yes. Question. And you also saw remains of tires and things there. Is that right? Answer. Yes. Question. What exactly did you see? Answer. Well, I saw a variety of things. I saw the steel belt, the wire, the remnants of a steel belt, and there was bone matter intertwined with that steel belt wire. There was a hacksaw blade in the debris. There was a hammer. There was, I believe, a shovel. I can't recall if it was a spade or a flathead. There was another tire that had not been burnt. Also, there was a car seat that had been consumed down to the metal. And I think I found there was a piece of a zipper, some other metal grommets, other things within the debris. Question. You say a car seat, like a seat from a car? You're not talking about a baby car seat. You're talking about an actual seat from a car? Answer. Would be a bench seat. Question. Bench seat. Okay. And there were other pieces of material. Could you tell, was there a way for you to tell if all that stuff had been recently burned? Or if some of it was older, for instance? Did the car seat have any rust on it? Or anything like that? Answer. The car seat, it did have some rust on it, but it probably oxidized due to the weather. But my opinion is that the burned side, and that site didn't look like it was used that often. Looked like it was fairly new. Question. Okay. Were you there when the crime scene people came to process that scene? The crime lab people? Answer. At what point? I was there when they initially sifted the material. Question. Okay. Did they dig down? Answer. We did not. Question. So you couldn't tell how deep, like the charred dirt or charred materials, would go down into the ground? Answer. Well, we scraped it. My opinion was it was a hard surface, compacted. Didn't look as though that it had been worked over in the past. So my opinion was that it wasn't something that had been used that often. Question. Okay. So then, at what point did the crime lab people get there? Answer. The crime lab people might have arrived around 3 p.m. approximately. Question. Okay, and then what did they do? What did you observe them do? Answer. We assisted the crime lab. We set up a sifting apparatus. We took the debris from the pile, sifted it in 3 different types of sifting screens, sorted or picked through it, and removed what we felt were bones, as well as teeth and a zipper and some metal grommets, and stuff that fell through the sifter. We collected on a tarp. Question. Okay, where did the tarp come from? Answer. The tarp came from the crime lab. Question. Okay, did they have like a van or something there? Answer. They did, yes. Question. And you did that throughout the afternoon of the 8th. Is that right? Answer. That's correct. Question. Okay. And so I assume for a couple hours until it got dark, from 3 to 5, 5:30 type of thing? Answer. Yes. Question. And what happened to the stuff that was on the tarp? Answer. The stuff on the tarp was collected, double bagged in black bag, and then placed into a secure trailer that was in control of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Question. Okay, what kind of bags were used? Answer. Large black plastic garbage bags. Question. So you put it in large plastic garbage bags? Answer. It all fit in one bag. We just double bagged it. Question. Okay. And you say you used like three different strainers, is that right? Answer. Yes. Question. Sort of sift through the dirt. Get all the dirt out? Answer. What you do is, there are different sifters. You want some of the material to fall through, and you want to capture other material. Question. So, how wide are we talking about? Attorney Kratz. Objection. Discovery. The court. The objection is sustained. Question by Attorney Johnson. Were you there when the stuff was taken off the tarp and bagged up? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. Were you there that whole time, throughout the afternoon? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay, so then, that stuff is taken off the tarp. It is put in this plastic bag, double bag, sealed. Is that right? Answer. It's not sealed per se. It's tied and then it's placed in the Calumet County van that was in control of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, and Rick Reamer was the person that secured it. Question. Okay. And then that particular burn area scene, did that continue to get processed the next day? Answer. I don't believe it was actually processed until Thursday. Question. Okay. So what about Wednesday? What happened there? Answer. Wednesday I had to appear in court in Monroe County, so I wasn't available. And then I came back on Thursday and assisted Special Agent Rodney Pevito with sifting debris. Question. To your knowledge, nobody did anything with that particular part of this site on Wednesday? Answer. Not to the best of my knowledge. Question. Okay. Then you came back on Thursday. Did you spend the whole day doing the sifting on that date? Answer. The first thing we did was, Thursday morning we set up at Calumet County Sheriff's Department and sifted, again, through the debris that we had collected on the tarp on Tuesday. And after completing that, we then went back to the crime scene and began to process that thoroughly. Question. You say you went back. You mean back to that burn area? Is that what you were talking about? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. And basically, same process as on Tuesday, or answer. Well, I wasn't intimately involved with any of the processing of the scene. We had a number of other agents that arrived from the Arson Bureau that then processed the scene. Question. Okay, are you an arson investigator? Answer. I was at once upon a time. Question. When was that? Answer. That was approximately 2 years ago. Question. For how long? The court. I'm going to interpose my own objection. Attorney Kratz. Thank you, Judge. Question by Attorney Johnson. How long have you been with DCI? Answer. Since 1998. Question. And before that? Attorney Kratz. Objection. Discovery, Your Honor. The court. Sustained. Attorney Johnson. That's all the questions I have. Thank you. The court. Any redirect? Attorney Kratz. Absolutely not. Thank you, Judge. The court. Witness is excused. The witness. Thank you.